I feel like in order to make it, I thought that I had to grind nonstop every single minute of every single day, every second of every waking hour had to be revolved around grinding and trying to succeed in whatever it is that I was trying to do. I think often in society today, there's that stigma or mentality behind grinding until you die, rest when you're dead. And if you're not making $1 million when you're 18 years old, you are not a success. And I think there's a lot of, positivity in some of the messages. And I think there's some motivation behind it. But I also think it could be a bit destructive for a lot of people, especially when you take into account each person's individuality and what their goals and dreams and aspirations are for their life. And I think often when we watch stuff on social media, when it revolves around these types of topics, it kind of bunches everyone up into this group of, if you're not doing this thing, you are not X, and if you do this thing, you are this. And I think that is very limiting to the creativity and individuality of people. I saw like a highlight clip of something recently where this guy was talking about Alex Hormozy, and he was just like, this is what he said. I saw a clip of Alex Hormozy saying, what his schedule was, and that is just not me. Like, that is boring. And then for some reason I decided to look at the comments, and the first comment was, well, that's why this guy makes $100 million and you don't. And, as I thought about that comment and just the message behind maybe what the other guy was saying about Alex Hormozy, I thought of it like, okay, I get both sides for sure, but I feel like I lean towards the guy who is saying that life is not for me. The reason why I agree with him is because he seemed to have gained an understanding of what is important to him in his life. And that might not be grinding from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night and trying to build $1 billion business. That might not be what he wants to do with his life. And what he finds to be successful doesn't include that type of work ethic, doesn't include that sort of that lifestyle, that sort of discipline or motivation. He could have discipline and motivation and goals in other regards. And yet some other people might look at Alex Hormozy's, daily schedule, goals, aspirations, dreams, and be like, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. And if I don't do that, then I will not get to that $1 billion revenue. So, when you look at that comment of that's why this person makes 100 million and you don't, I think is very short-sighted, and I think is a good representation of kind of what society is a little bit now. It's like, if you aren't doing this, then you're not going to get that from that person. Well, that's probably true, but is that where your heart lies? Is that where you believe you want to be in your life? Is that who you want to be? Is that where you want to put your family? Is that what you want to spend your days doing? And I think those are just sort of reflective questions that you kind of have to ask yourself when you're kind of thinking about, what is it that I truly want to do with my life? Like, who am I? What do I value outside of my job? What do I want to be known as? What makes me happy? What makes me joyful? The idea of this video honestly just stemmed from me sitting at the beach, and I was by myself. I did some yard work, and I went to the beach for about 2 hours, and I sat there and I just did like this little voice memo of, what I'm pretty much talking about right now. And if you were to tell me 2.5 years ago that, I haven't maybe worked on set for 2 weeks and I decided to go hang out on the beach, I would tell you that I'm insane, I'm lazy, I'm not motivated, I'm not disciplined, I'm not working towards my goals. And that was definitely me 2.5 years ago, that sort of strict, very stern person. But 2.5 years later, I could look at myself, I could look at who I am and who I've become and how I've grown, and confidently be okay with the fact that, okay, maybe I haven't worked on set for the past, 2 weeks. Why would I limit myself and not want to go to the beach and enjoy the summer, enjoy the sun, enjoy the ocean, and enjoy 2 hours of peace in my life? And I used to feel guilty about relaxing. I used to feel guilty about sort of wanting to do things other than grind. And, if I wasn't editing, if I wasn't sort of planning for something, if I wasn't shooting, if I wasn't making a YouTube video, if I wasn't making a podcast video, if I wasn't building something, every minute of every single day, it was a day's wasted. That was my thought. And, I think over time, that's really where burnout starts to stem from. And I noticed that my creativity would start to diminish, and it would make me way more anxious. And that, I think, is the root of sort of a lot of where my anxiety had come from, was the pressure that I put on myself to uphold a certain unrealistic standard that didn't allow me any flexibility, freedom, or creative sort of or a creative break or mental break, anything at all. It was just go, 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 go. And that is impossible to sort of withhold for so long, at least for me. I think now what I've learned is, why don't I prioritize choice? Like I decided to pursue a career as a freelancer. I understand that the ups and downs of the career, and as you grow as a freelancer, aren't easy. There are days, there are weeks, there are months where you might be super busy. There might be days, weeks, months where you don't see a single set at all. And obviously that's part of what you signed up for. And I don't need to keep reiterating this because this is talked about all the time, but I think what is often forgotten, though, is the flip side to freelance. The beauty of freelance is you can look at those moments of, really busyness and, moments of not being busy as, I'm successful, I'm not successful. But I've come to really love moments where I'm not necessarily super busy, because it gives me freedom of choice. And I think that's something that I never really took into account prior, was that I need to prioritize choice and what I want to do. What is something that Carlo wants to do? What is something that he feels compelled to do in this moment? And a lot of the times, my day-to-day when I'm not on set does involve working on growing myself as a DP. Building a YouTube channel, building a podcast, working, from my computer to build certain things and, create a life, create businesses. That's stuff that I enjoy. But also, I'm totally okay with not doing that for a day and working in, my backyard and doing some landscaping with my wife. I'm totally okay to go pick weeds for a couple hours. And, after that, maybe I will go hang out by the beach for a couple hours and then, go to the gym. And I've just realized that I can't just be a freelancer and that be my whole identity without any sort of other attributes to who Carlo is. And the more that I have dove into the decision to prioritize choice and, prioritize joy and, experiences and the human experience and just feeling alive and being with friends and family and doing all the other things, the more that I have found that I have more creativity, I feel more inclined to work on my business and, grow as a DP and the YouTube and the podcast, because I give myself breaks. I give myself opportunities to just live life and have fun and be a 27-year-old kid. And the more pressure that I put on myself and the more, anxiety inducing my mind becomes because of the pressure, the less I feel inclined to even want to work. And then I just sit at my computer or my desk scrolling on my phone doing nothing, because that's what anxiety does to me. It completely shuts me down. But it's not something I really want to subscribe to anymore. And I hope that, of course, this is sort of like a reflective message that is just about me. But maybe you see yourself in something that I'm saying, and, you might have thought about things that I'm saying, but haven't taken action on the things that, maybe you truly want to do. Like recently I finished a race, a fitness competition with my friend, and this required months of hard training, hard training, sometimes 2 days, sometimes twice a day. We were at the gym before set. I would have to go, maybe after set, I would go to the gym. If I wasn't working, it was definitely, 2 days, maybe one at the gym, one running. And it required a lot of dedication, a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of discipline, and also not just for the fitness, but the health aspect as well. And, as a freelance filmmaker, working 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, the inconsistent, you could be working, you could not be working, your schedule is all over the place. It was my job to be able to work my new goal into the inconsistency of my life and build a routine around inconsistency. And that in and of itself can become consistent. And, without doing these sort of fitness activities or, working in my yard with my wife or just going to the beach, I start to kind of just lose who Carlo is and who Carlo will become. And, as I've started to dive into this more and more, I learned so much more about myself. I learned more about what I like, what I don't like, and maybe skills that I want to learn, skills that I'm not very good at, like hanging pictures on a wall, or I'll leave that to my wife, but that's besides the point. Be smart with your time management. I'm not saying don't work. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't grind. That's not what I'm saying. But don't be so hard on yourself. Enjoy your life. Have fun. Explore hobbies, explore things you're interested in, and give yourself time to explore them. Don't feel the need that you need to fill every minute of every single day grinding away, because pretty soon you're going to lose who you are as a person and eventually as an artist as well. So that's my rant for the day. Hopefully you found something maybe in there that you can kind of resonate with and, let it sink in. But hopefully you have a great day. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.